Hello, it's Wednesday, May 9th, 2018, and as of this recording, I'm still depressed, but I'm not dead. So, I'm not as patient a guy as I would like to be. There are times when I think I can be incredibly patient when it comes to dealing with my children, dealing with situations where I'm problem solving or where the situation calls for someone to be more patient and level-headed. I think I have a switch I can throw and adopt that situation, adopt that personality. But most of the time, I don't think I'm all that patient. I'm not patient with things I don't understand, for instance. I'm not patient. Well, for an example, as I'm getting to learn Nora's kids still, I don't always have the level of patience that I should have with them. And it's not to say I yell and scream or anything like that. But I don't, when there's a breakdown in the laws of the household, I tend to be more impatient than I should be, I think. And I think I account that to not knowing the kids as well as I know my own. And so I can't find that patience within me for a situation where probably I'd be more quick to want to discipline the kids here for offenses than I would my own kids, because I think I understand my kids more. And I think really what I'm saying is that I'm more parental. I'm a better parental unit when it comes to the kids I've known their whole life versus kids I've known for just a couple of years. So I've kind of adopted in the house this strategy of kind of letting Nora take care of most of that kind of stuff. And for a while, I was pretty vocal about giving my opinion to her, and she'll still ask for opinions now and then. But I've recused myself. Is that right? Is that a word? Recused myself from dishing out punishments that aren't already set in stone by the mandates of the house. In other places where I'm not that patient, so we're moving and I need to relocate my employment to the North Carolina, Raleigh area. And I thought it would be easier through my employer. It turns out my employer is not that good at disclosing information about jobs in other areas. And I've had a couple disappointing phone calls for positions down there. And I'm waiting on this other dude to call me back. He called me on Friday last week and left a message, said, "Hey, I'm about to leave the office, but you can call me on Monday," which I did call on Monday. I left a message. I called on Tuesday. I left a message. I called today and left a message. And I really don't have much patience with him or really the company at this point to the level at where I am. I've gone on Indeed.com and looked for other jobs in the area just because this one dude who hasn't returned my phone call yet has clouded my judgment about the company I am employed with. Yeah, I don't know what I didn't have a story for today, so that's what I told you guys. Is that so? That's what I decided to tell you guys, is that I am patient, but I am not patient, and that's probably true of everybody, and nothing really special. This is not an insight, I don't think, into my depression or avoidant personality disorder or anything like that. So let's get on with the show. I had a long weekend with my girls. I flew down to Charlotte last Friday, got a rental car, went and picked the girls up from school when school got out, and then we spent the next 48, 72 hours together. doing all sorts of things. We did some this thing called Top Golf, which is like a driving range, but it's turned into a game where you keep score. And so that was fun. We went, my two little ones, my oldest, Key, was there with her boyfriend, and my ex. And so the six of us went, and it was pretty fun. It was a good time. And, we did some clothes shopping. We went and saw a movie. What did we see? We saw Avengers Infinity War, which was fantastic. We ate our meals together. We talked about things. We laughed about things. We went to bookstores. We went to this amusement park in the Charlotte area called Carowinds. We went there for about 4 hours on Sunday. Just a really good time. We did homework together. It was just, it was the kind of weekend where it's long and in a good way. And, Monday comes and took the kids to school, and then I headed up to Raleigh, which I'll get to in a minute. And thinking back on the weekend, it's like, wow, I can't believe that, Friday was only 3 days ago. It feels like we've been doing stuff for weeks. And I like that. I think that's a good thing. Don't you agree? So, I dropped them off at school and drove up to Raleigh to get the keys to the home we're going to be renting. And, along that drive, heading up, I was, kind of focused on the task at hand and also kind of riding the high of having been with the girls. And then there was the 2.5 hour ride back to Charlotte to catch a plane. And that's where kind of the bottom fell out of my emotions and my mood. I started feeling really sad, and I talked about last time I visited them that the night before I left, after I had kind of tucked them into bed, I felt really sad. And that's how I felt here, driving the car and kind of in tears, feeling like all the things that I'm missing out by not being near them, not being in their day-to-day life, thinking about how I'm, this internal thought process of how I'm being a bad parent, a bad father, by not being in that situation where I can help them on any given day, on any given issue. And I started getting angry at myself about that situation, angry at myself about, things I didn't say. I walked away feeling like I hadn't told them enough that how much I love them or how proud I am of them. And I did say those things, but I never feel like I get the point across enough to where it's I want it to be undeniable in their minds, that their daddy loves them, their daddy is on their side, and that their daddy has respect for them. And so things kind of snowballed from there, feeling badly. And I started to feel overwhelmed about the move, about, like I talked about before, about not feeling capable of doing the smallest of tasks. And there's about 1 million small tasks that need to be done. I started thinking about needing to pack more, about getting payments set up for the rent and utilities, and the condition of the house wasn't what I thought it would be, so that required me to make more phone calls and talk to property managers, things like that. And everything I thought of just seemed like, oh, holy crap, what am I going to do? To the point that was Monday. So Monday and yesterday and today, the kind of suicidal ideations are back. And in fact, while I was driving from Raleigh to Charlotte, my mind started wandering to, car accidents, in quotations, accidents, or, bridge abutments and things like that, wondering how, all I have to do is just cut the wheel here and, who knows what will happen. I didn't get to the point where I have been in the past, where I've had, seatbelts off and driving over 100 miles an hour, things like that. But they were there. And, yesterday I was thinking about Well, it doesn't matter, but suffice it to say that I've taken a little bit of a step back, and since I've been home since Monday evening, yesterday and today, I've been really crabby and not very social, not very affectionate towards Nora, and she keeps asking me what she can do, and I don't know. There's nothing that she can do. I need to get on top of a few things and maybe start seeing some forward progress on the packing and on the all that. So yeah, it's funny how that was such a good weekend, such a great weekend, filled with laughter and smiles and love and all the good things. How quickly that fades and turns right into all the bad things, the self-loathing, the hate, the suicidal ideations and all that. Within 24 hours, go from the best I've felt in quite some time to not the worst I've felt in some time, but not not ideal by any stretch. Yeah, I don't know. There's that, I guess. Another thing I've been thinking about is I forget. So I'm big into the skeptical movement and skepticism and all that. And I was listening to a podcast where the guys were explaining how hard it is to be skeptical, and how I think they use the word brave. How brave you need to be willing to give up things that you believe to be true. Ideas that you hold true in your mind because the evidence points away from that. So I don't think I explained that quite right. But it got me to thinking about this journey I'm on with depression and my goals of, getting ahead of depression and getting ahead of my mental illnesses and beating them. And it made me start to wonder, am I strong enough to get better? There's a certain amount of improvement that happens from medication, and talk therapy and situational improvements, like being married to Nora and the kind of relationship that we have. But it takes a certain amount of strength and confidence to disagree with the ideas that are in my mind about myself. I mentioned a little bit ago about how, that internal self-loathing that I am a bad dad, I'm a bad parent. And it takes a certain amount of strength and confidence to argue that after years and years and years of self-loathing and self-hate and self-minimizing, to have the voice in my head say, hey, no, you know what, you are a good dad. You're doing the best that you can, and the girls love you, and they know that they're loved and cared for. And then let that voice carry weight, because where I'm at right now, and I think I've mentioned this before, that it's not only that I don't believe it when that positive voice is talking, it's that it's I know, in quotation marks, I know that it's not true. And I don't know if I have that kind of strength and resolve and confidence in myself to accept that positive voice speaking to me. I don't know, does this make sense? I guess I just don't know. Well, it comes down to faith in myself, and I don't know that I have enough faith in myself to have the perseverance, to have the strength right now, or any time in the past many years, to get better, to start believing in myself, to fight and battle the depressed thoughts and emotions and the avoidant personality thoughts and emotions. Yeah, it's I hadn't thought about this before until I was listening to that podcast. But I think there's something there. There's, clearly, I mean, I know I have to work on those things, those self-value judgments, and seeing myself in a more positive light. But I never thought about it in terms of having the strength to do so. And yeah, I mean, that's something I have to work on, and hopefully I will. Which brings me to my last topic. So, anonymous friend of the show who we text back and forth pretty regularly, and she'll tell me what's, hey, here's something I've been thinking about. And the last thing that came across was cognitive dissonance. And she explained it to me, in case I didn't understand it. And of course, I know what cognitive dissonance is. I live it every day. And, for those of you who don't know, it's when you hold two disparate beliefs in your head, or you have an action that goes against a belief, a strongly held belief that you have. And one of the most common that you hear about is like a smoker who knows that smoking causes lung cancer, or a smoker who in all other ways is health conscious. They go to the gym, they exercise regularly, they try to eat well, but they still smoke. And so you can see there's that kind of dissonance, that disparity between wanting to be healthy but also doing something that is decidedly unhealthy. And that creates a dissonance, and often what happens is that they try to rationalize it away, even to the point where, like, well, my exercise is combating the bad effects of smoking, or I'll try to, reduce the amount of smoking that I do, in a way to balance it out internally. And, it can be a troubling thing for some people. And one of my responses to my friend of the show here is that, I think a little bit of cognitive dissonance is required in any kind of long-term relationship, right? You have to, it's kind of where we accept the flaws in our partners, friends or whatnot. And so things that our partner does that we otherwise would hate even, we kind of look past because of all the goodness that comes with that person. So we kind of rationalize away those flaws and live with that dissonance in our lives. And, for me, I was trying to think of the different ways that I have this. And the easiest one to come up with is my love of eating mapley donut. And Super America here in the Twin Cities and in lots of places, I'm sure, have mapley goodness, maple Persians. And, I used to eat them without any regard for the health effects, and I assume that, here's 1,000 calories per Persian, but darn it, I'm going to eat 2 because they're priced 2 for. And then, I don't know, a few months ago, they put up the calorie count, and I was surprised that the calorie count was so low. I mean, relatively speaking, it was like 400 calories per Persian, which isn't that low. And when you're eating 2, that's significant. It's a third of your calorie intake for a day. But I still do it. And now, I recognize that, there's the fat and the sugar and all that probably isn't too good for my overall well-being. But I rationalize it away, saying, okay, 400 calories, 800 calories, okay, I can account for that. And so it's not that bad for me because I know what I'm eating, and I can adjust my calories for the rest of the day based upon that. And that's really all I've come up with. This is, 2 days now, and I'm not saying that's all I have. That's really all I can think about. And I don't know it's to the point of dissonance when I'm talking about how bad a person I think I am. Because it's not, I don't have the belief and the confidence in knowing that I'm a good person or knowing that I am a good dad. I think it's something different in that case, not a cognitive dissonance. where where I believe one thing in the face of all other evidence, because I frankly, I just don't see the evidence. I'm blind to it of me being good anything. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for this show, guys. I appreciate you all listening. Let me remind you, you can email me, jamoalki@gmail.com, facebook.com/jamoalki, @jamoalki on Twitter, www.jamoalki.info. That's JAMOALKI. You can text me at 248-648-1419. I would love to hear from each and every one of you. Let me know how you found the show, how you like the show. Let me know how you're doing. If you want to vent, get some things off your chest, go ahead, put it in a text, put it in an email, send it to me, and I'll be sure to respond. You guys are wonderful. I am humbled every time I look and see that another download has happened. So thank you all so very much, and everybody be safe and be well.